Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Joseph Hammer, and in this video I'm going to answer a question about applying for doctoral programs while you're in the middle of a master's program, and the pros and cons of that, the optics and interpersonal consequences potentially of doing that. Because I received an email from a student who asked me the following, and I won't reveal this person's identity. He said, I was hoping to get your insight on the following. What is your initial reaction when you see an applicant who is applying for your program and said person is in the middle of his or her master's program? To clarify, if the student was accepted into your doctoral program, they would not be finishing their current master's. They would hop to your doctoral program directly without having finished the master's. And then this person goes on to describe their situation and why that might be a good fit for them. So this is a really great question. In terms of how, if I'm looking at applications for our PhD program and I see that a given applicant is applying to work with us and they're in the middle of a master's program, there's a few things I could think. First and foremost, I'm thinking about, is the student competitive for our PhD program? So is their CV, is their application strong enough? So I'm comparing them to all the other applicants on the same criteria about would they be a good fit for our program? And if they are, regardless of whether or not they're in the middle of a master's program, if where they're at right now at the time of application is that they're qualified, then I think the default response is that they would be considered. And we, faculty at the institution being applied to, we may not know the reasons why a student is applying to our doctoral program, even though they would be leaving in the middle of their master's program, because it's possible that their master's program is not a good fit for them, or it's an unhealthy environment for them. In which case, for me personally, and I can't speak for other counseling psychologists, other faculty, but if that was the case, I understand why they would want to be jumping ship and trying to get into a different program, even if that's a doctoral program. So I don't know for sure, but it will cross my mind, and this is probably the case for other faculty members too, we will wonder why. So we'll wonder, is it because the environment's unhealthy or genuinely not a good fit? Or did this person intentionally matriculate into this master's program with the intention all along to jump ship early and to apply to doctoral programs, and they just wanted to bide their time for a while, get some additional experience in someone's program, and then say, see you later. In that case, if that's the case, if it was sort of premeditated, that can feel a little icky to me as someone looking over an application, because I think about, we have a master's program too. So if I was a faculty in this student's master's program and I learned that this student came to our program and then had the plan all along, or decided, you know what, I'm going to jump ship and hop over to this other thing, I might feel bad about that as the master's program faculty, because it looks bad when a master's program or any program loses students. When students drop out without completing their degree, that's a mark against that program. And there may be potential negative consequences for that if a critical mass of their students drop out of their program over time. The dean of the college may be, hey, what's going on here? Something's wrong. We need to punish or evaluate you. And if the program is accredited, accrediting bodies care about student retention. So they care whether someone, if you matriculate students into the program, do you graduate them? Do you graduate the vast majority? Because students who drop out, if there's this pattern of students dropping out and not completing, that's seen as a problem for the program. like it's an unhealthy culture, or bad interpersonal environment, or not good enough supports, or it's under-resourced or something like that. So to know that a student would be contributing to making a program look bad by jumping ship is icky, I think. Also, too, there can be this vibe of, if this person's jumping ship in the middle of their master's program, there's a few other ways to interpret that. One is that it could possibly, to some people, in some contexts, come across as a little arrogant, possibly. Like, who does this person think they are, that they don't need to complete their master's degree, that they can just drop everything they're doing and just jump into the next step without seeing through or completing the current program and kind of fulfilling their current obligations. So some people may have that reaction, like it could seem a little prideful or arrogant or inappropriate. And another thing is that generally, I mean, it's just much more standard to come straight out of bachelor's or out of a bachelor's degree, even if it's with a gap year or whatever, or out of a master's program. And coming out of a master's program, that you've had all of the experiences in that master's program rather than partial experiences. So yeah, I think when we boil it down, it comes down to, was this planned by the student that they would leave? Was this premeditated? In which case that can kind of look bad to some professors. Or was it that this person discovered this program is genuinely not a good fit and maybe an unhealthy environment, and so they're looking for other venues, and maybe some of those are doctoral programs rather than just other master's programs, then that can make it a little bit more permissible. But in general, it's very rare to jump straight out of the middle of a master's program for some of the reasons I mentioned. So I think those are my thoughts on that question, and I hope that was helpful.